Oh man, what a great day of riding. What the heck is that thing?
It's a Fantic, bro. Only available in Europe. It's not even allowed in the US. Today is an exciting day because it is the first time a Fantic 125 two-stroke has ever hit US soil. Fantic is an Italian motorcycle manufacturer that dates all the way back to the 1960s. They make street bikes, scramblers, trials bikes, mopeds, enduro bikes, and more. And in 2021, they just started platform sharing with a Japanese brand that we all know and love. Yes, this bike is built off of the YZ125 two-stroke, and Fantic makes their own little small touches on it to customize it into their own brand. Now, one big difference about Fantic and Yamaha is that they have an agreement to where Fantic is not allowed to sell bikes to the US market. However, our good friend Pasha was able to import one of these bikes over to the US, and now we get the exciting chance to ride it here at Glen Helen Raceway and see exactly what the difference is between the Fantic XX125 and the Yamaha YZ125 two-stroke. So it's kind of weird for me to talk about platform sharing Yamaha and Fantic. Normally when I say platform sharing, I'm talking about KTM, Husqvarna, and Gas. All three very similar bikes with different settings and different bodywork to make them look different on the track. Well, now it's pretty fun to talk about that with the Yamaha YZ125 and this XX125 from Fantic. Fantic, they're a big deal over in Europe. They have factory teams that race in the EMX series and also the MXGP World Championship. So for our European audience, they've been begging us to ride this bike and test it for years and years. Finally, we get our chance to ride one thanks to Pasha. He secretly imported the bike here to the US. These are not allowed to be sold in the US, so I don't even really understand how he got this bike here. So we're not gonna ask too many questions, but if you are living in Europe, the XX125 Fantic is available for you to buy over there. But you live in it here in the US, well, maybe you can take some inspiration to make some modifications to your own YZ125, as the Fantic sounds like will never be available to ride or buy here in the US. Fantic XX125. First impression, this seat is a lot better than the Yamaha seat. Engine, like a slightly modded YZ125, not crazy over the top. Just picks up a little bit snappier off the bottom, but there's pretty exotic things happening today. We got a brand new Fantic, never been before ridden in the US. I'm also wearing One Industries gear. You guys might recognize it. They're making a comeback. The brand has relaunched. I think it's been like 10 years that One Industries has been out of business. So back in stock now. They got 4 different colorways. Stuff's pretty comfortable, lightweight, breathable. I really like these white gloves. Let's go grab that YZ125 and compare it to this one. it's time to answer the big question of the day. Is the XX125 from Fantic better than the stock YZ125 from Yamaha? No. Now, as cool as this bike is, it has some just minor shortcomings that make it fall just underneath the YZ125. I'm very thankful that we brought out the stock YZ today to compare to this stock Fantic, because when I first started riding this bike today, I was believing the hype. I thought this bike was a little bit better than the YZ. I figured it was a little bit snappier, a little bit stronger in the mid-range. I loved the overall layout of the bodywork and the seat. And then when I hopped on the YZ125, I was expecting it to feel kind of down on power compared to this one, but I was super surprised. The Yamaha didn't blow this out of the water, but it was definitely a step ahead of this bike. So what was better about the YZ125 than this Fantic? Well, honestly, it was the bottom end. This Fantic has an all-new airbox. It also has a modded cylinder, a different head, a different pipe and silencer on it. And the YZ125, as stock as it is, I expected it to be down on power, especially at the bottom end of the power curve, but it actually was stronger off the bottom end. And when you shifted, the YZ actually lurched forward a little bit stronger than this Fantic did. The one part of the power where the Fantic actually was stronger was right in the mid-range. I feel like the Fantic was great once you got into the power, but then it actually had less over rev than the YZ. Big differences about the two bikes are the airbox. This has a closed off airbox on this XX125. The airbox is a little bit more open actually on the YZ125. I do love how easy it is to get in and out of here and adjust your filters. Surprisingly, the stock YZ125 was just a slight bit better in the power category. As for the things that we actually liked better, one of them was the seat. Much wider, softer, and grippier than the YZ125. Now this plastics kit is all new for Fantic, completely different than Yamaha. They have a different subframe to work with it. The seat, much bigger, thicker, wider, more comfortable. That was a double thumbs up for me. Other than that, the overall platform of the bike is actually a little bit taller in the rear end because of that subframe and because of the seat, so it makes you sit up a little bit taller on the bike. On the track, it didn't really make a huge difference for me riding the YZ versus the Fantic, but I did like the comfortability of the seat. Now, when we were testing the bikes back to back, Pasha asked me which bike would I buy if I walked into the dealership and they cost the same price. Honestly, I chose this one. Even though the YZ was slightly better in the power category, this thing is exotic looking, super trick, and I think you could get better easily with an FMF pipe and silencer, and if you get a power tool and drill out the airbox like we do on our KTMs, a couple little mods, this thing would be running like a champ. Of course, Pasha's question about which bike I would buy is kind of a fairy tale question, as I'm an American citizen. I live here in the US, and you cannot buy this bike in the US. This is kind of a one-off crazy story for us to be able to ride this here today at Glen Helen. It's not an MXA test bike. This is Pasha's bike. It's kind of a fairy tale question. I wish I could buy this bike and I wish it was available here in the US, but unfortunately, this is only for our European audience. You guys will be able to buy this one because not available in the US. So even though we can't buy this XX125 from Fantic, today was a great reminder of how good the Yamaha YZ125 is. Of course, this does have YZ125 frame, YZ125 engine, swing arm, suspension, and more. And today we were going wide open on a rough and gnarly national track here at Glen Helen. Track's beat up from yesterday's practice. They did not prep it, they did not water it, and we could still go wide open on the 125 two-stroke. This platform is incredible. It makes you feel like a pro, and we were having a ton of fun riding it here today. I don't think there's any other bike that I could push that hard on track conditions like this. So overall, telling the story of this Italian motorcycle manufacturer here in the US, I thought we would never be able to do that. I thought maybe if I had a chance to ride a Fantic, it would be me flying over to Italy or flying over to Europe and riding one of the bikes here. So to have one at Glen Helen here in California is kind of surreal to me. But 125 two-strokes, this is not the only bike that they make. Of course, they also platform share with the YZ250F and the YZ YZ450F. They also have an XX300 Enduro bike, which is more Fantic than it is Yamaha. They have their own engine that's fuel injected, it's got electric starting, it's got an electric power valve, and that's a pretty cool Fantic dirt bike that's not a complete copy of a Yamaha. They also have scramblers for street bikes. It's a pretty cool kind of cafe racer style bikes, and they have a rally bike too. So Fantic does a lot of cool things in Europe. They also have the factory MXGP team. So if you're a European follower and watching this video, let us know in the comments what's your favorite memory about Fantic, and maybe help us educate the American audience like ourselves. And there's one more thing that I should mention. This isn't the only XX125 we have. There might be another one too. And if you like the gear that I'm wearing, it's live now at oneindustries.com. Also, this bike and one other one are going to be on display at the World Two-Stroke Championships at Pasha's Pit on Vendor Row, April 20th here at Glen Helen Raceway. Hope to see you there. And now, for the big question. Is the Fantic better than the Yamaha? Better than the Yamaha? Is it better than the Yamaha? How do I like pause, but like, is it better than the Yamaha? No. No.